Welcome to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show with your host, Scott Laskowski. A production of ISB Media. Brought to you by Culver's of Bloomington and Bedford and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now, here's your host, Scott Laskowski.
All right, welcome in, Hoosier fans, to the Indiana Sports Beat Radio post-game show. I am your host, Scott Laskowski, alongside the super sub, John Laskowski. Welcome in, Dad.
Good to be here with you, Scotty. You're doing good.
Wish we had a little better game to go over today. Indiana comes in as a 9.5-point favorite into this one, and we just fell to Northwestern 72-68 at home in Assembly Hall. Dad, what did you see out of the Hoosiers, and how did this just happen?
Well, a really good start. Wilkerson was hot from the start, had 14 points in the first 12 minutes. That's wonderful, and he can make streaks like that. The defense was good in the first 10 minutes, and then a little more scoring by Northwestern at the end of that half to kind of draw within 9, but still the game's in good control. And you and I talked before the game that when Indiana's making their 3-point shots, they win a lot of games, and they made 8 in the first half. In the second half, they only made 2. And the game just changed, came right down to the end. And, that was probably a foul on the 3-point shot, by DeFreeze. But you can't count on that. If you're up 6, it's not going to matter, see?
Yeah.
But when you're down 3, it makes it a bigger call than it really should be, even though it's pretty obvious when they show the replay. But this is what the Big Ten is like now. When I played all those years ago, Northwestern was a team that we just beat time and time again. But now you've got really good teams. You're talking about 10 teams maybe qualifying from the Big Ten to go to the NCAA tournament. And you've got great coaches. Northwestern had won 5 times in a row against Indiana, and now they make it 6. So their confidence up all week. Hey, this is a team we can beat. And it just didn't turn out the way Indiana fans wanted.
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves. The refs did miss a couple of calls down the stretch there, but we do not want to rely on the refs in order to beat Northwestern at home. Not a great end to that game. A tale of two halves. We couldn't have started off hotter. In the first half, we were 10 assists on 10 made field goals to start, and 75% from the field with 5 minutes left to go in the first half. We were scorching hot, started 8 of 11 from the 3-point line, and then ended up going 2 for 17 from the 3-point line the rest of the game. Outscored Northwestern by 9 points in the first half, then obviously got outscored by 13 in the second half to lose by 4. So not the way we saw this one going. 9.5-point favorites falling by 4 at home. This does us no favors in terms of the NCAA tournament. We were on the bubble coming in. Many had Indiana as an 11 seed, some as a 10 seed. Obviously, this loss at home to Northwestern would surely kick us out of the NCAA tournament. We do have some games left remaining in this season. Thank goodness. Michigan State at home. The next game, that is absolutely crucial. Minnesota at home. And then at Ohio State. If we can beat Michigan State at home, that kind of rights the wrong we had tonight in a loss at home to Northwestern. So next game is extremely crucial. I do not doubt that Coach DeVries will have the guys ready to go and fired up. What did you see as our biggest weakness tonight, Dad, but also as a whole? What do we need to shore up here in order to finish strong this season, go into the Big Ten tournament, have a good showing there, then hopefully make the NCAA tournament and obviously have a run there? What do you think is our biggest weakness at this point we need to shore up?
Well, we've had this issue the whole season, and that's learning how to hold on to a lead. We've had really good first halves against some really good teams. And then for whatever happens in the second half, they make some changes. The opponent makes some changes. Obviously, they got on Wilkerson. He scored, went almost 15 minutes without scoring, from the end of the first half to when he scored in the second half. And so it's kind of the nature of the game when you have all new players on a team. They don't grow over a year or 2 or 3 years and learn in those first couple of years. Here's when we get a lead. Here's what we need to do. And when it's a new team, and a lot of teams will go through this, when it's a new team, they haven't had that experience of, we're off to a great start. How do we keep that going for the rest of the game? And then you come out in the second half, Northwestern has a great start, and you're thinking, oh, what's happening? And then we just can't catch back up. And then Malnetti, their good player, we held him good in the first half. And in the second half, he got going crazy and then went above his average. So it's amazing how half times can change the game, and you got to play both halves the same way. Indiana has won a lot more games in the first half than they have in the second half, and that's why we lost today.
Yeah, Martinelli ends up with 28 points for the Wildcats. Tail two halves for those two. Wilkerson started off hot, and Martinelli not so much. And then Wilkerson cooled down in the second half. Martinelli got hot in the second half, and that kind of does it. Wilkerson finishes with 18, Connerway with 14, DeVries 11, and Sam Alexis 13. Those are kind of our main scorers. They all kind of produced, but at the end of the day, a loss at home to Northwestern is not exactly where we wanted to find ourselves. Against Michigan State next game, though, that would be a huge home victory to add the Michigan State Spartans. You've seen them play a couple times this year. And Tom Izzo, obviously a fantastic coach, has been for many years. He always has his teams ready to play. What do you think we can do between now and then to kind of right the ship? And then what do we need to do specifically against Michigan State? Because that's a huge, crucial game in order for us to get into the NCAA tournament. What do we need to do in preparation? And then obviously come game day in order to beat the Michigan State Spartans next game?
Well, you need to learn from this game. As I mentioned, if they get the lead in the first half, how do we keep that? Now, Michigan State's main thing, it's been this for 25 years. As long as Izzo is there, it's offensive rebounding. They do that better than any team we ever play each year, and they miss shots and they get the rebound and they put them back in. That's a real Michigan State kind of game, and we're not a great rebounding team yet, and so that'll be the biggest key to watch in the Michigan State game. If we get the early lead, can we hold it, and can we get defensive rebounds? Because they'll just keep pounding any team they play until they get those tip-ins back. And you look at the final stat, and they out-rebound you by 10 or 15 point, out-rebound you, and the game's lost. So it's pretty simple. Yeah. The rebounding edge that Michigan State shown against their opponents, how do we attack that for the game on Sunday?
The rebounds tonight, Northwestern out-rebounded Indiana 34-23. So the Northwestern Wildcats at home in Assembly Hall just out-rebounded us by 11. That does not bode well, especially, as you mentioned, going up against a Michigan State team that is very strong on the boards, very aggressive on the boards. So I would say a lot of blockout drills this week in practice would certainly be welcomed because we've got to be ready and got to be prepared. We got dominated on the glass tonight against Northwestern. That simply cannot happen next game either. 11 offensive rebounds for Northwestern, 5 for Indiana. We got kind of beat all over the glass today. Not ideal. And I think one of the biggest things, the final 9 minutes of the game, the last 10 minutes there, we went 9 minutes, 0 field goals, especially closing out a game. That's the exact opposite thing you want to do. Not ideal. I think Tate and Connerway had that layup with about a minute left to go. That broke the streak. That was 9 straight minutes with 0 field goals. Not ideal. We've had those stretches in the past, specifically in the second half, where we just can't seem to put it together. We go long stretches without either points or field goals, and especially in the second half, that seems to be our Achilles heel. We've got to figure out a way to not have those long stretches with either 0 points, 0 field goals. We've got to remain consistent throughout the entire game in order to see this all the way through. You mentioned the three-point shooting. That is our bread and butter. Started 8 of 11 from the game, couldn't have been hotter, and then finished 2 of 17 after that. that was a huge part of it as well, especially shooting at home. You do not want to see a stretch of 2 for 17 from the 3-point line. Once again, a loss at home against Northwestern. Not going to do us any favors. We do have 3 games remaining. We've got the Big Ten tournament as well. We need to have a strong showing there and then build up this resume as we get going here to the end of the season. Dad, any more comments from tonight's game?
I think that about covered it, and it makes these last 3 games even more important. 2 are at home. The at Ohio State game will be tough. There's a border team there as well. They're trying to get to the tournament. So a lot of these teams will all have something to play for. We do as well. So let's see how it plays out till the end of the season.
Absolutely. Well, as always, I appreciate you joining me, Dad. And also, one last thing. I didn't know if you could tell that my lighting is much better tonight on the podcast. I have to thank my lighting assistant. You may know her. It's your granddaughter, Bella. And she was my lighting assistant tonight. Bella, say hello to everybody. Yep,
Hi, sweetie. Good to see you.
She's got the lighting perfect today, and it was all due to Bella. So thank you, Bella, for the lighting. And Dad, thanks for joining us. Once again, Indiana falling to Northwestern at home 72-68. We've got to bounce back in tremendous fashion against Michigan State next game. But for all of us here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, that is going to wrap up our postgame show. Thank you, and always, God bless the Indiana Hoosiers. Thanks, Dad. Have a great night.
See you now.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat